Turn me on. Can you hear me? Oh, there we go. All right, we're live. Action.
We're live right now?
We are live.
Oh.
Hello, we had a big thing planned, but technical difficulties. This is good.
Well, welcome to Missouri Star Live. I am Misty Doan, and behind the camera there you hear Jake, my husband, who will help with any questions you guys have along the way. So make sure you say hi to him. Everybody say hi, Jake. And the rest of our crew as well. Mary also helps answer questions that we maybe don't know the answer to, and Isaac and Michael are in the background too. We appreciate all of them. So
we got Spanish Fork, Utah. Morning from Portland, Oregon.
Awesome. Oh, Linda says she sets her alarm so she doesn't miss our live feeds. Thank you, Linda. That's amazing. Oh, and she's from Michigan. We're heading to Michigan soon. I hope you're coming to see us at Jenny on the Road. That'll be super
Patty
fun.
From Lancaster.
Awesome. Oh, now we're getting lots of hi Jakes. Everyone's saying hi.
Holy.
Awesome. Valerie from Ontario. Thank you guys so much.
You guys are great. You guys are great. And let me just say, you guys look good today.
Yeah, you look lovely today.
All of you.
We are so glad to be spending our Tuesday with you. So, if you can't guess, we are making this adorable little lunch bag pattern today, and it's called the Going to Lunch pattern by Bonnie Ferguson for Fishsticks Designs, and she was so kind to let me teach it on live for you guys. So I'm really excited about that, and it's really, really cute and very simple. So I think you guys will like it.
And as the description say, we're getting geared up for back to school.
That's right. I know. I don't know about, a lot of kids have already gone back, but mine have about 2 weeks left before they go back to school. So
what's really crazy, we have to tell you about the week. I mean, maybe should we tie this in, or
what do you mean?
Kids are like, part of our kids are gone.
Yeah, they're visiting cousins out of town. So we just have our oldest at home right now.
And it is really weird.
It's so bizarre. So bizarre. So I miss them. So to my kiddos, if you're watching, I miss you and I love you. But we're trying to get everything ready for back to school. So I thought, what better than a quick back to school project like this little lunch bag? And we used some adorable Riley Blake fabrics. This is called I Dream in Color, this cute Crayola line. So that's what we're going to be working with today. So to start with, there's two versions of the pattern, one for 2 fabrics and one for 3. I just did the 2 fabric one. And so for your fabric A, which is this black crayon print that you see, you're going to need a 1/2 yard of that. And for your fabric B, which is the, crayon ruler print, it's really, really cute. You're going to need 3/4 yards, and then you're also going to need a 1/2 yard of fusible fleece. So make sure you get that, and we have linked to all the supplies you're going to need for this project in the description or the post, so you can go right there and get those from Missouri Star. But let's get started. So to begin with, you're going to take your fabric A, so remember that's your black fabric, and you're going to cut 2 12 by 11 pieces, so like this, and then you're also going to cut 2 12 by 5.5, and of those cuts you're going to do out of both fabric A and fabric B. So those are the same, 2 out of each fabrics. And then you're also going to cut 1 small piece out of fabric A that is 1 inch by 5 inch. That's going to make your little fabric loop here. And then you're going to cut 2 pieces that are 16 by 4, like so. And that's what we're going to use to make our handles. So hopefully that makes sense. And like I said, all of this info is in this really great Going to Lunch bag pattern, so you can be sure to get that.
Also remember, as always, ask questions as they come up.
Absolutely.
I will shout them out. We had one that they asked how many kids we have.
We have 3 kids. 3 kiddos, boy, girl, boy. So our oldest, Gideon, is at home right now, and our younger 2 are visiting their Aunt Hillary. So very, very fun.
And somebody was talking about their kids going into junior high school.
Oh,
I was just thinking, we want one that went into middle school.
Yeah, so my 2 oldest, my daughter, so my middle child, she is starting middle school this year. So I only have 1 left in elementary, and it's like breaking my heart. I still think of myself as a mom of like little kids, and I'm just not. It's fine. It's gonna be fine. All right, so to start, let's go ahead and get our handles ready. So remember, that was our 4 inch by 16 inch piece. And what we did here, let me move some of this stuff out of the way so you guys can see. Dun, dun, dun. Is this good, Isaac? You'll be able to see? Okay. So all we did here is, to start with, we folded long ways, wrong sides together, and we pressed that in half. And then we opened that up, and we've pressed each side into that middle crease. And then we gave it a good press to hold that all in place. And so remember, you're going to have 2 of these. And so once I have it all pressed, I'm just going to take it to the machine, and we're just going to top stitch on either side 1/4 inch away from the edge. So let's start by doing that. And one thing to mention before I forget, because this is a bag pattern, a lot of the seams are 1/2 inch seams as opposed to 1/4 inch seams that we're used to. So you want to be aware of that. It does tell you when to use a 1/4 inch seam as opposed to a 1/2 inch seam, but if it doesn't tell you, the assumption is that you're going to use a 1/2 inch seam. But here we're just top stitching with that 1/4 inch.
I do have to tell you, Misty, Linda says, I look old enough to have kids that age, but not you.
Aww, that's funny. Poor Jake. All right, so we've gone down one side. We're just going to flip that around and go down the other way. All right. Okay, so simple as that for our handles, and I've got another one ready to go. So our handles are done. So we're just going to set those aside for now.
2 handles, bang.
2 handles, easy peasy. So then the next thing we're going to do is we are going to take our, lost my piece here. We're going to take our outside print. So the one that you've decided you want to be the outside of your bag. And for me, that was this cute black Crayola print with the squiggles. And to me, it's a little bit directional. So if you have a directional print, you might want to pay attention to that. It bothers me, so I just did, you know, make sure that it's oriented the way that I want. So I'm working as if this were the top of my bag, and then I'm going to take, and actually we're going to press this in half just to get a center crease line. We're just going to finger press right there. So I've got that in place. And then now the first thing we want to do is we're going to take those handles we just made, and we are going to pin them in place. So let me get a little marker here so we can mark this. And so what it recommends is you go from that center line that you just finger pressed, and you're going to go out 1.5 inches on both sides of that and just make a little mark. Oops. You can see here I've just got my chalk marker, and then there's my mark. Make another one here. There we go. So I've got 2 little marks there. And so now what I want to do is I'm going to take that handle I just made, and I want to lay it so that it lines up on either, the inside of the handle is going to be right on those marks that I made. And then I'm just going to take some pins, make sure they stay where I want them.
Yeah, what is that marker?
This is a chalk marker. It's like a multicolor chalk marker. It sells out really quick, so hopefully it's available online. Mary will do some digging really quick for you, but it's awesome because you can turn and change different colors based on what color fabric you're using, so there's lots of options for different colors that will show up. I really like it. I use it a lot.
Cream Puff, we're on it. We're looking.
We will track it down. All right, so we're pinning this in place here. All right, so we've got that good to go. And the first thing it tells you to do now is to just go ahead and take a little 1/4 inch tacking seam at the top of each of these handles. So we're going to do that because remember, a 1/4 inch will be hidden because we're going to be working mostly with 1/2 inch seams. So there we go. And I am going to back stitch at the beginning and end. even though it'll be caught in another seam, just because I want this to be really strong. Where'd my snips go? Oh, there they are.
Okay, this is off topic.
Yes.
But somebody's asking about who does she contact to get a hold of the retreats for a group?
So I believe it's just retreats@MissouriQuiltCo.com. You can just email them and they will get you.
I got a confirmation. That is what it is.
Yep. Retreats@MissouriQuiltCo.com. Okay. So we've got those tacked into place, so we don't have to worry about them slipping out of the way when we're trying to stitch our pieces together now. So we can go ahead and take our pins out so we don't have to risk poking ourselves. And now we're going to attach what's going to be part of the flap. And so same thing here. It says Crayola, so I want that to be upright. So I'm just going to double check that that's that way. And then I'm going to fold this over and line up my edges and put a couple pins to hold this together. Nothing crazy. We're working with, you know, pretty basic squares, and it stays together pretty well, but just a few to keep it from shifting. There we go. One more in the middle just for good measure. All right, and we're going to take this to the machine. And so now, this is where we're going to be using a 1/2 inch seam. And so if you're like me, I'm very comfortable with a 1/4 inch seam, but you might want to use a seam guide if you have one for a 1/2 inch seam, just to make sure it's consistent and accurate. So I've got this little one that you can just pop on. It's magnetic. And we're just going to line this up.
Also, real quick, somebody was asking if there's written instructions.
Yes, there's a pattern available. It's called the Going to Lunch Bag. It's by Bonnie Ferguson, and you can get this pattern from our website as well.
Also, is it a kit?
It is not a kit.
Not a kit.
I made it angry just a second. Let's try this again. Got going too fast, probably.
So you just get 2 pieces of fabric.
Yep,
what size?
You just need a 1/2 yard of one print and 3/4 of a yard of another, and then you can follow along with the pattern. Okay.
So pick your favorite fabrics and get
or
the
if
pattern.
you're making it for someone, you know, you can pick something that they like. It's a great project for novelty prints. There we go. Now we're cruising. Like
Do
I
we
said,
carry the small yellow scissors you're using?
that's a good question. I've had these forever. We'll look. We'll
should.
find out.
We
I'm
should.
sure we do. There we go. We've got that all sewn together. And take those pins out. We can take it over to the iron and give it a good press. Move this stuff out of the way.
I'm not sure you would know this, Misty, but do we have very many singles go to the quilt retreats?
Yes.
Oh,
Nancy's
yes.
wondering.
People go all the time by themselves, and they make their new best quilting friends. So if you don't have anyone to go with you, you should absolutely still look into it, because the retreats are so fun. There we go. And I am pressing my seam down, because that kind of forces the handle to pop up. So that's what I'm doing there. All right, so we have this side done, and your other side is going to be done the exact same way. You can see here. Ta-da. But the only difference is on this side, I went ahead and I attached a button. And so what it has you do for that is from that same line that you finger press in the middle, you just measure down 1.5 inches and attach your button. And then it recommends go ahead using a little piece of fusible fleece to kind of reinforce it once you've attached it. So I just pressed a little square of fusible fleece on the back side there, and that is ready to go. And so I'm actually going to press this one more time because it looks like it needs it. It's been hanging out for a while, just so it lays nice. Just going to give it one more press. There we go. That looks better.
Somebody asked if this is a free pattern. This isn't a free pattern.
It isn't a free pattern, but she was kind enough to let me teach you the whole thing. and you can get the pattern from our website. So now we have that part done, and so the next thing we want to do is we want to baste on our little loop. And so remember, this came from our 1 inch by 5 inch piece, and I made this little loop. Let me see if you can see it. I made this little loop in the exact same method we made the handle, except I just sewed one seam right down the middle. If you don't want to make the loop, you could also use a little piece of elastic. It would work the exact same way. Just cut it to 5 inches. But now we're going to go ahead and take the opposite side, so the side without our button. Remember, this one has our button. So the piece here, and we're going to fold it in half and give it a finger press. And that's going to be where we're going to attach our loop. So same thing, we're just going to lay that there. I'm going to put a pin in it. Oops, or two, to get it to stay where I want it. There we go, and I'm just going to do the same little 1/4 inch basting stitch to hold that down.
So all these guys are jumping ahead. They want to know about insulating it or...
So that's a great question. I mean, to me, this is like more like a quick on-the-go bag. Also, you're going to follow this exact same method without the handles to make your inside. So you could use like an iron-on vinyl over the top of your fabric to make it more waterproof. I know Insul-Brite batting is heat resistant, but I haven't looked into whether or not it is insulating for cold. So that would be something to look into. But mostly I just think this is like a quick little lunch bag, or, you know, just to kind of avoid paper or plastic bags getting thrown out all the time. So we're just going to baste that down. All right. We've got that tacked in place for later. Very good. All right. So now that we've got this all ready to go, we are going to lay these right sides together, and we are going to sew with a 1/2 inch seam down the sides and the bottom. But I'm going to take my time here, and I'm going to line up these side seams because I want those to look really nice and clean at the end, because all of that will show. So we're going to do that. Put a pin in there. I've got like a little rumple in my press right there. Go, just feeling it with my fingers to make sure those nest up, and come back and pin along the top.
The chat is saying that Insul-Brite is for cold and hot.
Perfect. So yeah, so you could, you'll see here when I show you the lining portion, that's where we use the fusible fleece. So you could, you know, use regular heat and bond and attach the Insul-Brite to that instead of the fusible fleece, which would make it a little more insulated, which is a great option. All right.
Or even just stitch it in, yeah?
Or yeah, quilt it in, absolutely. All right, we're just lining up. This is one time when you really do want to take the time to pin, because having those handles in there, you want to make sure they're in the center and tucked out of the way, but it does make your fabric want to shift. So just take your time, pin it in place like I'm doing here, so you get a nice finished product. Again, lining up those side seams so they stay nice and square. And then one more here at the top. And we are going to take this to the machine. And we're going to sew with a 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way down and around, leaving that top open.
Oh, somebody said Halloween candy bag.
It would be a great candy bag. Okay. And the thing I really like about this one is you have no raw edges, which is so nice.
Bonnie was asking if you could cover it with the same vinyl we did for the candy zipper bags.
Exactly. That's what I was talking about using to make it waterproof. That would be perfect, Bonnie. It's a great idea.
So Linda's asking if you need to stabilize it. We stabilize the inside.
Yep. So right now we're working on the outer layer, and you repeat these exact same steps to the inside, but you do attach the fusible fleece to give it some stability. And I'll show you that when we finish up here. So I've just pivoted at my corner, and when I know I'm going to box my corners, I really like to pivot instead of sew off. It just makes it easier for me to line things up later, and I'll show you why when we get this done.
So I do want to mention one thing. Shelly was asking about the magnetic seam guide.
Uh-huh.
And we're actually doing testing on the seam guides right now. So when we find one that we want you guys, we want our name behind, we will tell you.
We'll tell you. This one I would prefer a little bit stronger magnet, but it's all right. If you get too much bulk in there, it will actually push this one away. So it's not my favorite, if I'm being totally honest. But I do love a good seam guide. But I wanted to try the magnet just because it makes it quicker to get it out of your way as opposed to the one that screws on. But you just got to make sure the magnet is strong enough. All right, so we've got that done. All the way around those 3 sides, leaving the top open. So we're going to take our pins out now, and we're going to box our corners to give our little bag a base. Whoops. Okay, so remember I said I like to pivot, so you can see here I didn't sew off the ends, and the reason that I do that is when I open this up to box my corners, I really like to open up my seam. Let me see if I can show you here. And I just kind of finger press it open. You're going to pull this out. Have to fiddle with it a little bit. But the reason I like this is because then I can really see my peak when I want to box my corners, and it's much easier to line up my seams and make sure that everything is square. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just feeling with my fingers, and I can tell that these are like perfectly on top of one another. And I can see right here where my peak is, and I'm just going to put a pin in to kind of hold that in place. Ta-da! All right.
Okay, we got to pause for a second.
Sure.
They say the comments are covering up the video. You can swipe those away.
Yes, you can swipe those or minimize those.
On YouTube, if you're watching on your phone, you need to hit the no comments button in the top right.
Okay, and so Mary just said if you're watching on your phone on YouTube, there is a no comments button in the top right, and that will make those disappear for you. Thanks, Mary. Okay, so then here, I use the 45, and I know I need a 4-inch measurement from outside edge to outside edge. So you can see there, I use the 45 to check that it's right along this edge. My center line is right there where my seams meet, and I've got, you know, between the 9 and the 5, that's 4 inches. So I'm going to take my marking tool, and I'm going to draw a line right there. Whoops. Make sure you don't shift.
See, the bad thing about that marking thing is you got to like make a design decision every time you use it.
Every time you have to choose your color. It's true. I like it. It's just a little creativity. Okay, so I've drawn my line, and now I'm going to take that to the machine. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and box the other one before I go to the machine, because might as well. Then I can sew them both at the same time. But then once we have that one done, we'll go to the machine and we'll sew right on that line. So this way you can see one more time. I'm just going to kind of press my seam open with my fingers. It does take a little bit of just playing with it and making it go where you want it to go. Because you want it to be straight. You don't want the bottom of your bag to be all crooked.
Cream Puff says it reminds her of the pens of her youth.
Oh yeah, I used to have
those.
one of those in elementary school as well. You can turn it and get all the fun colors.
I had
Maybe
one
that's
that,
why
like,
I like it.
That had like smelly inks.
Oh, that's fun.
Do you remember that?
I don't think I ever had, well, I had markers that had like smelly inks, but I don't think I had a pin.
Oh yeah.
Everybody loves a good scratch and sniff,
cool
right?
To get the smelly pens.
Okay. So here we go. We've got that 45.
Yeah, maybe they were markers. All right, maybe they were markers. I smelled a lot of stuff back when I was a kid.
Oh, geez, that's not weird. All right, so now we're drawing our line again. So remember, we used the straight line and the 45 to make sure we're all square, and we want 4 inches from outside edge to outside edge. So that's what we're looking for this particular project. And then we're drawing our line. And we're going to take these to the machine and we're going to sew right on them. And so we can just slide that out of the way. And this is one instance where you do want to make sure to backstitch. So we're going to do that. All right, that side is done. Trim our threads, flip around for the other side. All right, again, remember to backstitch.
Nancy's asking if I converted you to sewing when we met. She did so before, but I want to believe that, you know.
You made me a diehard,
something to do
maybe.
with it.
It does seem to run in the family, that's for sure. Okay, there we go. So we have both of those done. Take our pins out, and now we're going to trim off our excess, leave a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So just lay my ruler right there, trim that off.
Oh, wait, Joseph just said they were scented gel pens. It was real.
Oh, there you go.
You guys all made me feel crazy.
All right. So we have that one all ready to go. I'll just turn it out so you can see how nice it looks. Ta-da! Perfect little boxed corners. My seams match up just great. And this part is ready to go.
So that was the first half.
So this is our outside. And so you literally repeat the exact same thing for the inside. The only thing that's different about it is you don't have handles or a button. You can see here. I'll turn it out so you can see it as well. You don't have handles or a button. You're just attaching your top and bottom piece. And when you sew it together, well, and on the lower part, that's where you're going to use your stabilizer. So I'll just show you here. So it's that same 11 by 12 inch piece and a piece of our fusible fleece. That's what we use for ours. And remember, it has a bumpy side. So check for that bumpy side. And you want to put the bumpy side to the wrong side of your fabric. And so I just do it like this. And I always cut my fusible fleece just a smidge smaller than my fabric because I don't want to risk getting it on my iron or having it stuck to my ironing board. So I've just got a nice hot iron, and we just stick it together.
And that's for the lining.
This is for the lining portion.
And it's also only on the lower portion.
Only on the 11 by 12 inch pieces. That's where you're using the fusible fleece.
And the chat's all talking about, like, yeah, if you change that from regular fleece
to Insulbright.
Yeah, you would be fine.
You would be good to go. That'd be perfect. Okay, so there we go. We've got that fused. And so I've already done that here. You can see I did the exact same thing, sewed down the edge, but the difference is on the inside one, you want to leave about a 4-inch opening in the bottom of your bag. That's how we're going to turn it right sides out at the end, and we'll go back and stitch that closed by hand later.
Yes, that's very important.
It's very important.
Misty found that out.
Otherwise you won't be able to get your bag out. Ask me how I know. It's fine. So either way, so then let me make sure I tell you this part right. I always have to double check because this is the final step. So let's see. Dun, 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 dun. With the outer side, so that's this piece here, right side out, and the inner side, inside out. Ta-da! Okay, slide the outer into the inner. So this part goes inside so that we have right sides together. This makes sense. Okay, now that I've double checked, I understand. And we're going to line up our edges. Huh?
Oh, everything's fine.
Okay. So we're going to line up our edges first.
What is going on?
I'm going to nest
Facebook,
my seams.
talk to me. Are you guys still good?
So you can see I've got my side seams lined up. I'm going to go ahead and put a pin in that to hold those in place. And we're just going to work our way around the bag to make sure that our top edge stays lined up.
Also, we got some comments coming in from YouTube.
Okay.
They want to know where you got your top from. They want to know what brand of glasses you're wearing. They want to know. They say you look cute.
You guys are so sweet. My top is from Target.
That's what somebody said that.
They guessed it right. It is from Target. And my glasses I got from online from one of those cheap places. I can't remember which
Zennies?
one. I think it might be Zenny Optical.
We're not sponsored, so we can't say their name in the...
I'm not sponsored by anybody. That's silly. But either way, they were very affordable, but I love them. So go get yourself a pair. Okay, so we've pinned all the way around. And now we are just going to, I'm going to take off my extension table here to make it easier. And we are just going to sew, again, 1/2 inch seam, all the way around here.
Wait, Joyce is saying Zilul.
I don't know what that means.
It might be. It might be them. She says she has 3 pairs of them. I think you guys are samies.
Well, they're prescription. So there's some places where you can get like
no, I think is that the name of the glass?
I have no idea.
Joyce?
These are hard questions, guys. So let's finish this bag. That's what I know of for sure.
I think that was the top. She called the Target.
All right, so we're sewing together both layers of our bag using a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So I've slid that seam guide in again to keep everything lined up. And I'm just sewing all the way around, and I did back stitch at the beginning. Just to want to make sure it's nice and secure. Whoops, slip that out of the way. Keep that straight. And we just cruise all the way around. Dun, 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 dun. And at the end, just to lock it all together and trim our threads. You guys, we are done. We just got to turn this thing right side out.
It's beautiful.
So easy.
Wait, it's not beautiful yet.
It's almost there. Take out these pins. And then, so see, here's that opening that we left. And this is why you need it. And you can slide the right side out. Ta-da. And then squish this part back in the inside.
And you want to stitch that little piece closed, but right?
Yeah, so you would go back and hand stitch it, but I'm just going to show you so we can see it. Hand stitch your opening closed.
Yeah, you're going to lose a nickel down there.
Oh, for sure. You definitely want to close it or stuff will disappear in between your layers.
Applesauce.
So I want to make sure everything lays nicely. There we go. There's our matching up our corners on the inside and the outside. And it works just great. And so then the next thing I'm going to do, just to really make it nice and finished, is I'm going to give a press to this top edge and we're going to top stitch around it and we will be all done.
They're wondering if it's a 1/2 inch seam allowance.
It is a 1/2 inch seam allowance, unless specified. Like when we did those little tacking seams, those are when you'd use.
And you guys know we're getting to the end of this live, so ask your questions now or forever hold your peace.
All right, so we just gave that a press. Oh, let me get that little, oh, there it went. Go ahead and get any extra threads out of the way. And then we're going to go ahead and just top stitch this. And I am going to use just a 1/4 inch or a little less, whatever you want, just to make it nice. And I always start on a seam with my top stitching, or try to remember, because it is less noticeable when you start on a seam.
This is good. Diane said if you leave that open, it's a great hiding spot.
That's true. Have treasures in there. All your candy you don't want the kids to steal.
Yeah, Michael's saying put a zipper down there. Little secret zipper in the bottom.
That's funny.
I don't think this is in Block Magazine, is it?
This is not. This is a pattern from Bonnie Ferguson that she was so kind to let us share with you guys. And like I said, that pattern is available on our website. We've linked to it.
Steph's asking, what can you insulate it with, please?
It's called Insulbrite batting, but we just used fusible fleece for more short-term things. All right, there we go.
And someone asked if you can just machine stitch the hole closed in the bottom.
I mean, absolutely. No one's ever going to see it. So you do you, whatever you prefer. So there you go. You see this just folds over. Our little loop we put in, we'll loop around that button. And you've got this little to-go bag. It's so cute. I did make a few other samples, so I want to show you some other fun prints besides this I Dream in Color one. Well, actually, this is still I Dream in Color, right? So this is a couple more fabrics from that line. And then this one is from Wyndham, and it's called STEM. It's really cute. So science, technology, engineering, and math, right? My kids are super into that. They go to like an after-school club for STEM. So very, very fun. So, you know, I hope this inspired you. Maybe it'll give you something to get your kiddos or grandkids ready for back to school. And I hope you enjoyed it. It's super, super easy. So thank you again.
Before we sign off, I said, Linda, for sure, I am. I don't know how I tricked her into this, but don't let her know. Also, everybody else is good.
Awesome.
Bright.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much. And thanks again to Bonnie Ferguson from Fishsticks Designs for letting us teach this. We really appreciate it. It's an awesome project and super quick and easy.
And thanks for tuning in. We had great viewership today.
Yes.
So an awesome.
That reminds me.
Wait.
Next week.
Next week.
Yes, next week we will be traveling to Jenny on the Road on Tuesday. So we are going to try our best to pop in and give you an update from the road, because we thought you would like to maybe see some of that craziness. So we'll pop in for just a little bit on Tuesday, and then hopefully, if the internet is right, we can pop in from Jenny on the Road as well. But have a fabulous week.
Yes,
and
we'll try to do that. The link for the pattern is in the description.
Yes, in the description. And you can also, there's a
we'll
link to all kinds of fun back to school fabrics as well. So you can see all kinds of fun fabrics that we've gathered for you. And we will see you. Have a wonderful week. Thank you guys, as always, for tuning in.
See you guys. Thanks.
Bye.